Alright, according to the video, I don't know exactly where to look because I'm front face the camera and so I can see myself, but now I'm looking at myself instead of looking at where I'm supposed to look. Or maybe I'm supposed to look here, but I feel like I'm looking at nothing. But anyways, I'm recording this because I've been gone for about 4 days. Of course, my videos don't really show that because I had like 2 week backlog of both shorts, not only shorts, maybe a week backlog of shorts and a 2 week backlog of for like videos. So everything was coming out, but today nothing came out on the 12th because I hadn't really edited anything or put anything out. For today, I planned on getting back early enough to edit some stuff yesterday, but I didn't get to. That's fine. But pretty much I'm recording this because a part of what I did for the 4 days, this kind of goes into like fitness and stuff. Part of what I did for the 4 days, I was at like drill for the Army National Guard, and on the last day, which was yesterday, Sunday, oh Monday, I've been confusing the days, which was the ACFT. So if you're familiar with ACFT, it's the Army Combat Fitness Test. It's been around since like I want to say 2019, 2020. I can't remember. Like it went to full effect around 2020, 2021. So that's been the new standard, and it consists of like multiple events. You have like a medicine ball throw, deadlift, something called the sprint drag carry, which I just call a relay race. So like you do like a bunch of other events and use for time. Plank. What else? Hand release push-ups, and one more 2 mile run. So a part of what I have to take into consideration while I'm training is like doing well on these tests. But to be completely honest, uh, I do well on everything without necessarily having to practice for the test itself. But I have to then take whatever training I do in my own personal time and then take it into consideration for the test. And when I take considerations for the test, the only real thing I have to really think or let's say plan for or train for is the 2 mile run. Like if I don't run, I will pass. But if I want to do better, I must run. So that's a part of why I do running. So I just kind of say that like even though I like I guess identify as a bodybuilder, or though my training may be like in that direction right now, I guess I'd be more classified as a hybrid athlete. I see a lot of those around on like Instagram reels and like TikToks and stuff. Not that I watch TikTok, but it's just there. Like the term has become it's came out more than now. I've always like I also do calisthenics. So I've always mentioned like you want to do a combination of calisthenics and bodybuilding. A lot of people mention that, or weightlifting. A lot of people mention that. So where I come as a hybrid athlete is I want to be able to move my body weight well. I want to be able to run, not just run fast, but run distance. That's like 1.5 miles plus. I want to be able to run distance well without stopping. I want to be able to lift heavy weights, and also I do want to actually like look aesthetic and look good. So it's combining all these factors. Thing is, when you combine all these factors, it does kind of make things a little bit harder because trying to become like they say like a what is it called a master or right now a jack of all trades, a master of none. This is fair, but it's not always true. So you can become a master of many things. It just takes more time than it would be to master one thing at once. Or what you can do is you can like master things at different times, which is kind of what I was gonna get into, which is priorities. So for my ACFT, I did pretty well. Like I think I probably did the best out of everyone that took it. So which is good, but my run was not something that I was totally proud of because I have been running about like 5 times a week. Not 5 times a week. That's a lot. What I've been running about once every 5 days, just for 2.5 miles. So it's a little bit over the requirement for the test. And it's also like while my legs are fatigued because it's usually the day after leg day. So um, so I had to take that. That's the training plan I've been using, and now I've been seeing gains. Of course, my legs have been getting bigger. I feel like I've been getting bigger, like in my muscles and stuff. And now I'm also training not just for aesthetic now. I'm also be getting stronger too. I just hit 315, so I know that I'm hitting my size aesthetic goals and my strength goals. But then I took this test. All my scores were good except for my run. I had like a 16 minute 15 second 2 mile time, which isn't a bad 2 mile time even for the test, it still gives you like an 80 something, 84, I think, or an 83 on the test for my age group. But it's not what I'd wanted. I'd wanted something around the 15, sub 15, and I'd want like a minute over. So I have to then reevaluate like my priorities to see, okay, am I training the right way to get the results I want? So what I'm probably gonna have to do is increase the mileage, but maybe still keep the frequency lower. So if I decrease how often I run and change it from every 5 days to every 7 days, and then just make it 5+ miles every time I run, then that might be enough to make that difference. Because obviously, the training I've been doing was not enough. Because I remember multiple times where I've like never ran at all, and then if I push myself hard enough, I'll still hit 16, 15. So for me to have been running and still hit 16, of course, this is with the considerations that I've gotten bigger, that I've gotten stronger. But for me, like, because after I finished my run, I threw up a little bit. So, not like any food, just like water, and then you're fine. So, if I push myself very hard, like, which is what I did on the run, and I only got 16 minutes, that means that, like, there's something I have to do. Because if I'm going to get 60 minutes, it should be, like, at a calm, nice pace, not straining myself. So, that means if I'm straining myself, I want to be getting like 15, 14. So that means I have to change my training to allow me to run that fast again. So I'm gonna reprioritize things. Probably still lift as often as I do, but now what I'm probably going to do is, regardless of what I'm training, except for maybe if it's legs, I'm going to run. And if it affects the lift afterwards, so be it. And I'm gonna run first. I'm not gonna run after the lift. I'm gonna run before the lift, preferably in the morning. And hopefully once a week is enough. If once a week isn't enough, then I'll change it to once a week should be enough. And I might throw some additional cardio in there throughout the week, like on my stationary bike. But once a week should be enough, I think, because that's how it was in the past when I was in school. We only ran about really once a week, and we were still able to see some decent like development from that. But it was just because we were running like longer distance. So that's probably what I'm gonna have to do. But this is kind of just to have people think about like, yeah, you do want to, yeah, you should be training for whatever goals you have in mind. Like I've mentioned in a couple like shorts, if you do watch the shorts and these longer videos, is that you want to have multiple training goals. Because if you're only focused on your size, it's size is associated with strength. So if you're focused on your size, you're probably a little bit focused on your strength, or you're getting stronger too. But there are other avenues that like allow you to account better for like your health and your athleticism. Like you want to be, I understand, maybe not everyone wants to be an athlete, but you want to be as athletic as possible, I guess. Or at least as you're training, your priorities will change and you might want to do different things. And those different things are allows you to have like more longevity. Because if you only ever worry about your size, that's when you start leading down paths that may lead you to no longer being natural, or places where you start to get things like body dysmorphia, or you get like or you lose interest in the gym because you feel you aren't getting any bigger. So when you have multiple avenues for what you're training, you have multiple ways that you're keeping track of like how you're doing, it's a lot better. So if I haven't gotten bigger, at least I know I'm getting stronger. If I haven't gotten stronger, at least I know that I'm improving my cardio. Because if I take this PT test and the PT test looks the exact same as all the other PT tests I've done, but I feel like I've done more training or prepared more, then I will lose all heart. But I know, okay, my run might still be the same, but I'm running just as fast now as I was when I was about 10 pounds lighter, and I just definitely wasn't this strong or this big. So in that full context, now it's honestly a good thing. You do want to get stronger, leaner, and if not faster, just as fast, or stronger, leaner, bigger, and just as fast. So like I know there are better examples of like hybrid athletes, people that can like run 5Ks, people not 5Ks, 5Ks aren't. People that can run like marathons, half marathons, double marathons, that still have aesthetic physiques, and they can also like deadlift 600. And that's not necessarily what I'm trying to be, but I do want to be as close to whatever my body allows me to be as possible. So I don't want to just be in like a single box where I'm only a bodybuilder, or I'm only a dude that does calisthenics. But always training in a way that no matter what I have to do, I can do it. If that makes sense. So I feel like that's the best way to show your training is actually working. That you can do things you don't train for. So that's why like the bench press was kind of a test for that for me. Like, let's see how strong I've gotten without having to train for strength. Or I'm still training kind of for strength. But let's see how strong I've gotten without training this specific skill. So for my PT test, like the only skill I probably trained on there was deadlift, and I did good on my deadlift. Like if you're deadlifting, you're it's gonna carry over, even though it's a hex bar. But I haven't thrown the ball. I haven't done like I haven't even sprinted. Honestly, I've just been jogging or kind of sprinted. It depends. But I've just been running. I've done the sprint. That was probably my best time ever. I think so. That's also something to be proud of as well. And my push-ups, like I think they're about the same, maybe just a little bit better. But stuff like that, like I haven't done push-ups in a minute except for those shorts that you guys saw, if you saw them. But I haven't done push-ups in a minute. So, and I also don't do planks. I believe planks are a waste of time. But I still passed the plank, or I even did the best on the plank to pat myself on the back. But stuff like that, where if you can do well on these things, it shows that your training is going well. Like, and a lot of training isn't necessarily like um you are also getting stronger. So like if I train my chest often enough by doing incline press and flies, of course my bench is gonna go up because I'm still training my chest, and with more muscle, I'll have a little bit more strength. But also when you also then on top of that, there might be some endurance aspect. So if I'm training my shoulders, my ribs, my triceps, then I'm also training my muscular endurance too if I'm doing like 12, 15 reps on those movements. But then on top of those things, I feel like when you're training to failure, I don't know if I've like lost the plot, but this is all kind of related. But when you're training to failure, you're still um you're still training yourself. You're training yourself to push past your stopping point. Because when I was doing the push-ups, I wanted to stop at well, not wanted. I'm not to stop. You have 2 minutes to do them, and I could have stopped at 40. I could have stopped at 30. It only takes 10 to pass. But I kept going until I had about like 58. And until the very last second, I was cranking out those reps. Even if the push up took me like 10 seconds to come up, I still came up and I just kept going. So you want to use all the time that's allotted to you. And I feel like training in general, this increases like your grit. Like you want to keep going. And I feel like that's also something you can kind of like measure. And I also saw it on the run too. Like um for the last half mile, I started running faster than I was in the beginning and in the like middle because I had like slowed down a bit because I had started too fast. But then I was running back up because I wanted to catch my commander and I wanted to pass him. And I was running at a pace that I was like, all right, I probably can't keep this pace, but this guy's right there and I can catch him and I can pass him. So I ignored my body and I kept going. Like these are things that like yeah people can tap into, but if you're tapping into it in your training, then it's easier to tap into when you're actually performing for a result for a test. So I feel like that's also something that you that's another benefit of working out is that attitude to push not just to failure but also past it and to not stop when you set yourself on a certain like objective. Just the comfortability with being uncomfortable or not necessarily ignoring your body's like pain cues, but ignoring your body's like limiters where it's like you should probably stop now. But in honesty, you could keep going. It's just it's not the pain that's trying to stop you. It's just discomfort that's trying to stop you. So that's just another benefit of like working out that kind of like bleeds into other things that you may not necessarily like think about initially. Um, no, else would I have to say? Uh, yeah, that helped me on like both the run and on the push-ups. And yeah, I think that's kind of it. Like this is how like your training can kind of just show you that you're being like successful because it leads into other areas. You're athletic, you're strong, you're aesthetic. Like no one wants to be. Well, I guess some people just want to be strong. Or I mean, like I said, it all depends on your goals and your priorities. Like priorities change, the priorities shift. So if I want to do a bodybuilding competition, maybe I would stop running for a bit and maybe just do some like zone 2 cardio where I'm not like out of breath or anything like that, just so I can shred down. So your priorities change. So right now, like I'm gonna make the priority to like improve my running a little bit more, and this may cost my physique a little bit. I don't think it will. It's people saying you'll lose muscle. I don't think that'll be the case. I'll probably be leaner if anything, but it might inhibit how big I can get my legs to be, which is fine. Like I'd rather have functional legs than like legs that just look nice, and I think they look nice now, so I don't have to worry about that too much. But as your priorities change, your training should also change. But you can't change your priorities if you don't know how your training is affecting like your performance or your not just in what you want to perform well in my opinion, but things that you just do on a whim, like all the things I mentioned before. But that's about it. That's all I really want to talk about. Kind of like how I wanted to change what I'm doing, but also like just some perspective on how to track how you're doing and how to just be more content in where you not content. What's the word? How to I don't know how to like strategize to where lifting weights, training, working out doesn't become boring or it doesn't become something that like starts to negatively infect you not medically, but I guess medically if you start taking steroids, but mentally. So you can continue to have different goals that you set for yourself. So this can continue to be fun. So that's about it. But yeah, like, subscribe, follow click the notification bell, and I'll have some more videos out. But right now, I actually do have a couple in reserve, so I gotta go and upload, edit them, whatever I'm gonna do. But that's about it. You guys take it easy.